Greetings and salutations all, I am I.S. Anderson and welcome to my channel. I am the author of these three books right here, the Modern Disciple series. And this is my first video, and you're probably thinking that I'm just going to do a bunch of hello, introduce myself and stuff like that, but you know what, screw it. Let's just do a book tag instead. And also, let's do the coolest book tag that's out there, the book sacrifice tag. First scenario, you're in a bookstore and suddenly a zombie apocalypse breaks out. So what overhyped book do you use to ward off the zombies until help arrives? Now, okay, just bear with me a couple minutes here. I know this is kind of silly, you know, and I know just as well as everybody else that, you know, the zombie apocalypse breaks out and Cookie Monster is going to be there to eat all the zombies anyway, so we don't really need to worry about that. But there's only one Cookie Monster and a lot of zombies, so I guess it makes sense that we would have to buy them some time. But anyways, to do that, I would use the book Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stohl. So why did I choose this one? Well, putting the whole Twilight with witches aside thing, the main character, Lena Duchesne, she goes throughout the almost the entire novel with this uncertainty of whether she will become a light caster or a dark caster, either good or evil. And her main squeeze, Ethan, you know, he keeps trying to get close to her, but she keeps pushing him away because she's afraid that she'll go dark. And you know, that's how most of these Twilight clones go, and she's just like, oh, stay away from me, no, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, right before the big event is supposed to happen, right before, you know, this thing happens where she becomes light or dark, her uncle steps in and says, oh, actually, you had the choice the whole time, really, yeah, you could choose either way. So then after we find out she actually has the choice, I mean, the night comes and she decides to stop time so that she does have the choice, and then she eventually chooses to become both. I mean, fine, but the way she stops time is she moves a cloud in front of the moon. Yeah, I think I've seen sounder time travel theories in the original Superman movie. So the overhyped book I would use to ward off the zombies would be Beautiful Creatures. Second scenario, you just stepped out of the salon with a $100 haircut, and then suddenly a torrential downpour happens. What sequel do you use to protect your hair so that it doesn't get drenched? Now, again, you know, this is silly. I mean, you know, do I look like a guy who would spend $100 on a haircut? No. But anyway, the sequel that I would use in this situation would be A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Now, okay, I realize this is a very near and dear series to a lot of people, and I really do like it too. I mean, I like the characters, I like the story, but I really don't like George R.R. Martin's style. I think he's too heavy-handed, too wordy. And this book, I mean, let's face it, most of this is filler. I mean, the majority of it is just filler. What of the real significance happens in, let's see, Renly dies. Okay, that could have easily happened in the first or second book. There's the Battle of Blackwater Bay. I mean, it's a cool battle, but if you think about it, I mean, if it didn't happen, what would have changed? I mean, at the end of it, the Lannisters are still in charge, and Stannis is defeated, but he's not out. He's still the rightful king. And, I mean, there's also this part where Daenerys, you know, she gets a whole lot of money to buy a bunch of ships, and, you know, that could have happened easily in the first or third book also. So, yeah, basically the sequel that I would allow to get drenched would be Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Raindrops keep falling on my head. The third scenario is one I found myself in many times. You're in your English class and your professor is going on and on about how this classic is so great. And you just want to chuck it at him because you just don't think it's great. You just don't see how anybody could really consider this a classic. Or at least you just hate it. The book that I chose for this situation would be Beowulf translated by John McNamara. I'm just kidding. I know it was anonymously done. So anyway, the reason why I don't particularly care for Beowulf so much is that the plot, it seems to keep repeating itself. I mean, I know different things happen, but Beowulf, no matter what he's in, no matter what situation he's in, no matter what he's doing, he keeps bringing up the fact that he slayed Grendel. And, you know, I get that was a pretty significant part of that, but dude, I mean, it's like that was 2/3 of the book ago. Quit bringing it up, man. And basically, I think this is a good book if you're an English major and you have to read this, or if you're a fantasy writer and you want to sort of get an idea where fantasy came from, get back to your roots, it's a good thing to read it. But as for everybody else, I really don't think it's necessary. So, yeah. So the classic that I would chuck at my professor would be Beowulf. Now, you know, there is a little slight problem with that. I mean, you see how thin it is. I mean, there's just no way this would do any real damage to anybody. Unless, of course, maybe I was to hit him in the eye.
Oh God, why?
Fourth scenario, aka the Al Gore scenario. The Earth has frozen over because of global warming and you're stuck in the library, so what book do you burn in order to keep warm? For this, you must choose your absolute least favorite book of all time, the bane of your existence. For me, that book is Night of the Burning Blade by Julius C. Johnson. Night of the Burning Blade is about a top-secret U.S. military force, the Delta Force of Delta Forces, that has a mission to rescue the president's daughter from a different dimension that somebody took her into. And when the soldiers go there, they encounter werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein's monsters, and evil spirits. Now, that sounds pretty cool, right? Plus, the author of this book, Julius C. Johnson, he was actually involved in the military. He was actually a part of a secret force, apparently. So you'd think this book would be pretty good, huh? Nope, 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 nope. Now, first of all, I don't care if you prefer a first-person perspective or a third-person perspective, speaking in the past or speaking in the present, but please make up your mind, pick one and stick with it, okay? Second of all, every time there's a scene break, you know, a little space in between the text, you don't need to start the very next paragraph with the word meanwhile. It gets old really quick. Plus, the editing was just atrocious, and you know, I got the feeling that the author really didn't give a shit, so therefore, why should I? And you know, the thing is, it's just, I mean, I'm an indie author myself, and this is an indie published book. I mean, it's books like this that give indie authors a bad name. So yes, that's the main reason why this book is the bane of my existence. I mean, I would have given it a 1-star rating on Goodreads instead of 2, but the thing is, a 1-star rating means you've completely offended me, whereas 2 is just, I didn't bother to finish the book. So my worst book of all time, the one that I would absolutely burn, would be Night of the Burning Blade. And so that was my book sacrifice tag. I hope you all enjoyed it. And down below, I'll leave all my pertinent contact information down there in the abyss, and I'll also leave a link to the original book sacrifice tag by Errol Bissett so you can watch that. And until next time, this is I.S. Sanderson saying, everybody, make your lives grand. Have a good day.
Eat zombies! Nom 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 nom. Ah!
And remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and they all stink.